Welcome to another Revenue Roundtable. I'm Mitch Lee, Profit Evangelist at Vendavo, and we're going to spend under 10 minutes discussing what's going on in the market today in business news, what's top of mind for the Vendavo customer community and our prospects as well. And we're going to talk about tips, tricks, and capabilities to turn concerns into opportunities. With me today is Ben Blaney, our VP for Business Consulting for the North America region. How are you doing today, Ben?
I'm well, Mitch. I'm well. Thanks for having me.
Super. And Ben, we're going to talk about something that's a lot in the news right now: mergers and acquisitions. Tremendous amount of activity in terms of people going out and buying new companies. Let's talk about what happens in terms of running that as a business while that's going on.
Yeah, that's right, Mitch. It's a super interesting topic. And you know what? I think many people have noticed when a public company announces that they will be buying another company, whether that the acquired company is public or not, the acquirer gets crushed in the stock market. Their stock takes a 1, 2, 3, 4% hit.
Almost every time.
Almost every time. There's one exception that I can think of, Mitch, which is when Amazon bought Whole Foods 5, 6 years ago. If you remember, the transaction amount was $13 or $14 billion. And you'd expect Amazon to take a little hit based on that. In fact, it didn't. Amazon's market cap went up by the 13 or 14 billion. So effectively, if you were an Amazon shareholder at that time, you got Whole Foods for free, which is kind of nice, but it doesn't usually happen that way.
Not usually. Usually it drops a little bit, but there are a lot of positives for doing M&A, right? For combining organizations. Yet we see a drop in stock price in terms of valuation. Let's walk through that a little bit.
Yeah, it's strange. So what's going on? Why is the street punishing a company for buying another company? It's because, the stock market is a voting machine on the future, isn't it? And so what the market is saying is, we don't think this is going to work out well for the owners of the acquiring company. This is not going to be an improvement on the situation.
Despite the fact that that's the business case, that it will improve, but the market doesn't believe it. There's risk inherent in this. Is that what the market is saying?
Yeah, the market's always about risk. You're absolutely right. And I think, there are elements of an M&A transaction which are all about cost savings. If I become a bigger company, I can negotiate harder with my vendors because I'm now a more important part of their customer base. I can consolidate factories, perhaps. Maybe I can get some rationalization in support functions inside the organization. Maybe there's some cost savings there. And these are all built into the business case for doing the acquisition every single time.
But despite all those positives, the market says no, it's going to be hard. There's risk involved. So where's that risk laid?
That's right. Well, my view is that risk is always in the commercial sense. That the market is saying, look, you can buy this company, but how are you going to commercialize the new enterprise? That there's risk involved in doing that well.
Sure. So sellers are looking at more catalogs, but that brings the commercial difficulties. There's more products to learn. So let's walk through three really basic pieces there that our listeners are going to be attuned to. Let's start with, what do you do with all those prices? What's the pricing function looking at here in an M&A?
That's right. Well, so what a pricing organization will need, and I've been on the acquirer side of this situation, what a pricer needs is to be able to quickly price the legacy products of the buying company and the newly acquired products of the company you've bought. And there are connections between the two, aren't there? If you've bought this company because they are complementary in some way, so you'll want to price some products with relativity to the new products that you've acquired. It may change the nature of your good, better, best continuum. It may change the nature of your small, medium, large kind of pack sizes and product offerings of that type. And it may change bundling. products that are put together as a pack, as a solution, as a kit, and they will need to be repriced. So the key functional need, I think, is the ability to quickly make these changes and quickly apply the rules and the structures that you have in place, but absorb new products, their attributes, their characteristics, and their performance indicators.
So very much a price management, controlling them to make sure that they fit the strategy of the acquisition, right? They are obviously complementary. They're not going to be cannibalizing in general. So you've got the basic setup in terms of where you want to start. Now we need to talk a little bit about what's the best price in terms of optimizing in general, and specifically leaning into the negotiations a little bit, right?
Yeah, I mean, in lots of industries, an initial price, a market price, a channel price, some people might call it a list price or a book price, those are beginning points for negotiations. They're market indicators. So you're right. The next thing to talk about is how do we create recommendations to sellers of, well, here's a product you've never sold before. Here's a good price for it, and here's a poor price relative to that established list or book price. It's the same story, but with a different focus. Now you need to import historical data into the models that you have creating these price recommendations, that you now got different comparisons. You're creating new peer group analysis. And that can be hard to do, but there are solutions out there that make that very easy.
This is absolutely part of the value that is being bought. The value of those historical perceptions, historical transactions, bringing that in and making guided decisions on the new offering, combined offering to the market. That's a huge part of the value of the company, of the acquisition. But let's turn now to the real selling side. So we've got a couple of points of what some pricing might be in negotiations, but all the way to selling. What will folks look for there?
Well, when a seller is being asked to sell products that they don't really know very much about, you're going to have to help them. So mechanisms to allow them to navigate, that it might be in outcomes, it might be in product characteristics, allow sellers to answer a few basic questions, to provide a few capabilities requested by their customers, and then be presented with the items, the products that are appropriate for that circumstances. This is a category of intelligence called guided selling. And deploying guided selling quickly to help sellers make these decisions is really important. A second piece I think is tremendously important here is obviously to connect with the price recommendations we just talked about, and then round out the product offering, the solution offering for any given circumstance by providing recommendations. So, okay, seller, you're selling an item from the legacy catalog. That's nice. What you should know is there's also an item in the new catalog that we have available that would go very well. And buyers who buy that thing should also buy the other thing. Doing that recommendation engine for cross-selling and upselling, that's tremendously important when you're smashing together two businesses, two product catalogs.
Absolutely. That look when you're at the account basis, the cross-sell, upsell, other customers like you bought these things for that that very direct conversation with customers, but also the white space identifier, especially in an M&A situation where a salesperson looks at the entire portfolio of all of their customers and says, oh, now I have this set of opportunities here on this customer with the new products, as well as products that I was already in charge of that maybe could have done more there. So tremendously important, and again, stresses the need for purpose-built enterprise-level system to be able to support the pricing, the optimization, and that selling function. That's great, Ben. Thank you very much. I want to thank Ben, of course, for joining us today. For all of you that might be watching or listening, thanks for joining us. Be sure to contact us at profit@vendavo.com to let us know if you have any topics you'd like for us to address for you on the next Revenue Roundtable. So until we speak again, have a profitable day.